Hey y'all, I am back with another couple that I want to talk about. I do want to be sensitive to Cardi B's situation right now. I seen that she did make some type of video or live video, just distraught over what has happened. So I do want to be sensitive about it. And so I won't make any bad statements. I never do about her or anything she's going through. I'm just going to speak on what I see in her chart. And I don't want to add to her pain, nor do I want to be sued for anything. Okay, so I will be very cautious about how I proceed. We will look at what is going on with her and look at their relationships, and what I would say or have said to her as a client as she was maybe dating Offset, thinking about getting married, and then everything that's going on now. And I think it's really important, for all of us to look and see how this kind of evolves and what happens when you are have some things that you may be struggling with in your own personal life, and then you meet someone else who also has their own trauma, and you guys could be possibly triggering each other. And it may not be the most healthiest relationship, although there may be some good times. These are just things that, all of us have to be mindful of. So, all right, let's get into it. So, what is happening? You'll see in the upcoming charts, because y'all know I have to give you charts. I have to show you what I see. Cardi is a Libra, just like Ashanti. I just did a video about Ashanti and Nelly. So please go back and look at that video. They are having different experiences though. So I believe they're born just a couple days apart. And it's not due to their sun sign. Okay. I am a big proponent, if you've heard any other videos or read any of my blog posts, I do not go by sun sign astrology, especially when you're looking at relationships. And they're having different experiences because of other placements in their chart. So you'll notice that there may be other things going on or different placements for the moon, Venus, all the other planets, although you may have the same sun sign. So that's why people have different experiences and go through different things. I will talk about the major planetary occurrences I do see with her. Um, and, she is really being impacted right now. And I will kind of look at Offset's chart, but I don't have his birth time, so I don't go deep into his. But you'll see that he is not being as impacted by this as she is. So that lets me know that this is a lesson for her. This is a soul lesson for her to try to get through and to try to navigate. I'm not saying that he doesn't care, or he's not having any feelings about what's going on. It's just that the universe is calling her to make these changes. He could be potentially having a Neptune transit to his moon, but because I don't know his birth time, I'm not exactly sure what degree his moon is at. His moon could possibly even go into Aries, the very early degree of Aries. Although I kind of believe it might be in Pisces, but I haven't looked deeply at his chart. But I will say this: if he does have his moon in Pisces, I would encourage him or caution him, to make sure he turns to something more productive, such as his spirituality, and not drugs and alcohol to cope. Neptune or Pisces does give, the spirituality component, but it also gives I can go into drug and alcohols to escape, and you don't want to do that. So if you are displaying the negative qualities or the more challenging qualities of, that sign or planet, then that could be very bad. So hopefully that won't be the case, or is not the case for him. But anytime you have planets in Pisces or connected to Neptune, there is this escapism. And so looking at what you may escape from or how you may escape is really, really important. Here I have Cardi B's chart. on the inside. So let me get my pointer. So this is Cardi B's chart here. And then on the outside, I have the transits from just a couple days ago. Right now, Uranus is opposing her Venus. This is a separative aspect because it's an opposition. So this can indicate that um, some unexpected changes may be happening in her relationships. Um, I will say this: Cardi is not unfamiliar with the Uranus energy because you do have her Uranus here at the top of the chart in the 10th house squaring her sun sign. So she's not, she understands that energy. Um, but her Venus is not familiar with that energy. Her Venus here is connected to Pluto, which is very, very different energy than Uranus. In with this particular sign in Scorpio and connected to Pluto, she definitely requires all or nothing in her relationship. She wants intensity, closeness, and she wants your total devotion. You will also notice here that her Venus here is squaring Saturn. And that can indicate that she wants that commitment and she wants stability in relationships. Um, it's wide, but it's there if you're looking at the natal aspects. So Uranus transiting, I can't talk. Venus does it kind of breaks that it's coming in and breaking up that energy. For one, it is saying we need to break up this pattern. Some pattern of hers has to change. Something about the way she loves needs to shift. And usually with Venus, Saturn aspects, that can indicate this feeling of I don't deserve love, I'm not worthy of love, or I won't be able to get that type of love, that type of energy. So there is this thing of picking partners who confirms those feelings. And if this isn't worked through and addressed, this could be very, very hard. So Uranus is giving a wake up call now. And I know if you don't heed to Uranus or any other outer planet, you will be forced to learn. It's like, okay, you can try to turn a blind eye, you can try to ignore what's going on, but if you do, it's gonna be like, okay, baby, all right, you act like you don't see me, and it's gonna be right here in your face, and you're not gonna have a choice, and it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be painful that way. So that's definitely, something to be mindful of. Uranus is making 3 hits, so it's going back and forth over this Venus, which lets me know that this probably started a while ago. She even indicated that um, this she's been separated for a while or single for a while. Uranus will not be done transiting Venus until next year. So hopefully by next year this is completed, but this could be, this is the second hit has already occurred, and so that may be us seeing this stuff coming out. And so by the time this third hit happens, it could be a lot more settled. She could know what she's going to do, know what the plan is, all of that. There was also an eclipse on her sun, I believe in October. So that also indicated some change. We see that the South Node is going over her sun too. So that's a letting go kind of quality. I want to look at her progress chart. The sun here is approaching her natal Venus. So on the inside, I have the natal chart, and on the outside, I have the progress chart. So progress sun is approaching a conjunction to her natal Venus. So I think there will be this new kind of love energy, just maybe even her loving herself, this new glow about herself that will be happening um, soon. So I do feel that there will be she will feel better about things and about herself in this next, I would say 6 months. Um, she may have worked through some of these issues that she's had or struggles that she's had in relationships. But I do believe there will be a shift in love. I'm not saying she will have a new love. That is possible, but I don't foresee that. I mean, it could just be, a new love or type of thing between her and Offset, but I don't want to go there. Also, Venus will progress into a new sign in 2025. So again, that's another shift in love. Now that's another year or so before that happens, but once this turns to 29 degrees, it's like, okay, the clock is running. Like this is happening. It is shifting. And so that means that there could be a possibility of new love. Um, I can't say what it will be. Obviously, I will have to definitely talk to her more to get an insight into what's happening. I'm sure we all hope for her sanity that she does move on if, and I say if because we don't really know what's happening. She is not being treated the way that she deserves, right? That's that Saturn, Venus stuff there. I want to look at just their charts and give you a little bit of insight on comparison. Normally, I have the wheels like I had the other ones, like one on the inside, one on the outside, but I kept them separate just so that you all can see um, some things here. So we have this is Cardi's chart and this is Offset's chart. And the first thing I noticed, they both of them have a Venus square Saturn. So they have the same pattern in their chart. Now I do normally see the same pattern or combination of charts between married people. That is very common. Because that means that you all have the same type of energy. You're working with the same type of energy. But you kind of hope it's not the same energy, like the same. Um, like so you may see somebody with a Venus trine Saturn, Venus sextile Saturn, or Venus conjunct Saturn. But Venus square, that is hard. And again, even any combination of Venus, you're going to have some of the same themes, but these two are working on the same stuff. And so you just hope that they're not triggering each other. And again, I don't have their charts on top of each other um, to see what other planets may conjunct those, but regardless, it is the same type of energy, and that's that's difficult. That's really difficult. So let's see if I see anything else here. Okay. So if we look at Offset, he has a lot of Sag energy. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Ooh, I've had my share of Sagittarius energy combined with Scorpio. Sag and Scorpio together. I'm not talking about two different people. I'm talking about the same person that has Sagittarius planets with Scorpio planets. I mean, those are some sexy people. They are just alluring and enticing. But baby, I, I don't want no parts of it no more. I've done it. I've had it. Came, seen. I don't want to see no more. But let's talk about Offset. He has Sag, Sun, Mars, and Mercury. So there's a lot of restlessness energy. There's a lot of I just need freedom. I just need space, right? It's just like, okay, I just need to go and have these new experiences. I'm not saying freedom to cheat per se. I'm just saying they just need freedom. And so you have to be mindful of that. When you have Venus or Mars in Sag, that is something you definitely want to pay attention to. Um, especially if you don't have that in your chart, if you're not familiar with that type of energy. Sometimes those people may have a hard time settling down. Not always. Astrology is not absolute, so you definitely don't want to just assume that and go off the sign alone. I will say this: Offset. has Mars square Jupiter. Okay, so again, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Okay, so that's just an added energy. Like, okay, this person, hmm, I I don't know. I don't want to judge Offset. I don't know. Again, I would have to talk with him and we would have to work through his chart. But that's just my interpretation off of seeing this. Both of them have Venus in Scorpio. So that's a similarity. However, remember I said Cardi over here has Venus conjunct Pluto. He Offset does not have that. Pluto is too far from his Venus. So she wants something totally different. She has this added energy to hers um, that is a lot. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. We seen her on Love and Hip Hop. She can be controlling. She wants your complete focus. So that can be a hell of a lot of intensity if somebody is just not okay with that. You know, if you don't have plutonian stuff in you, baby, I don't know. Now, Offset could very well have Pluto or plutonian energy because he could be a Scorpio rising and maybe Pluto is on his ascendant or on his descendant. So he attracts scorpionic partners. I don't know. I would have to know his time of birth. But that would be something that I would definitely talk with him or her or both of them about if they were my clients. Cardi has her Mars in Cancer. So remember I said Offsets is in Sag. So those are very different energies. She wants more of an intimacy or connection. Um, so that's a little bit different. Now, if I had her whole chart sign up here, which I told you all before I look at various charts to get some information, her ruler of her seventh house is Venus because the seventh house is Libra. So I will look at where Venus is placed, and in the whole house sign, her Venus will be in the eighth house. Again, that's a Pluto house. That's a Scorpionic house. So you see, it's yeah. She wants hey, you ain't ready for that. You better don't come to her playing. Don't come to her playing. Okay. Um, Now they do have some compatibility, and I can see why they're drawn to each other. I'm not going to get into that here per se, but we do have to look at compatibility and chemistry, and whether this person can has the capacity to love you in the way that you want. Y'all, if they ain't got it, they ain't got it. Like if this person wants this freedom and they want to go out here and play the field, you're not gonna make them love you enough to change that. Now, sometimes some men will change, like I just love her and I want that. But a person's energy is a person's energy, and you have to be okay with that if you decide to be with this person. It's never okay to cheat. I'm not saying that again. I don't even know if Offset cheated in this last situation. Um, but you all have to work with that energy. So he would have to understand that she wants this intensity, and she would have to understand that he needs some space and some time apart. And they will have to really, really work through that. And if they can, then one of them doesn't have the capacity to love one of them in the way that they need. So maybe this isn't going to work. I don't know. So let's rewind it. Let's go back. Let's look at the marriage chart or the marriage, dates and kind of what was happening um, in the marriage. And so I pulled up her whole house chart here because I want to do perfections and show you how that works. I've shown it in videos, but I want to keep doing it so that you can see. So Cardi was 24 when she married Offset, I believe, because I looked it up. It said September 2017. So hopefully, y'all, that is right. Probably need to do a little bit more fact checking, but I just Googled it real quick. 24, for one, I just don't. With her having Venus square Saturn, I would have wanted her to wait to after her Saturn return. I would have advised her of that because she may have learned more about what she needs and what she wants in love and may be able to pick better partners suited for her. Getting married that young, you ain't thinking about that. You just not. We remember how it was when we was 24. Um, I remember I listen, I remember like my mindset is totally different now, than relationships. You do have people, you do have people who get married young and it works. But I can guarantee you if I looked in their chart, I could see that they have more a secure style, attachment style, and that helps. But if you have, an insecure attachment style, avoidant attachment style, yeah, y'all, we got to work through that stuff. So anyway, I'm not gonna preach. In her whole house chart, so 24th year will be her first house. So Aries is her first house. So Mars is the ruler, is here in the fourth house. That would indicate maybe some family themes happening. Not giving me much about the marriage, but I mean it is family and home stuff. Mars is the most challenging aspect or planet in the chart when it comes to a daytime chart. Her chart is still a daytime chart, and it's fallen. So I definitely would have been a little concerned about her doing something in that year. But I didn't see much here, so I was like, okay, let me perfect it from the light of, the light of the sect, right? Which is the sun, because it is a daytime chart. So when I count, I'm not gonna go into, how we do perfection. So hopefully you've looked at some other videos or you understand the perfections. But if I'm starting from her sect of light, then it's going to be back here in the seventh house. So voila, there's the seventh house of relationships that is happening. So that will let me know, mm, some relationship stuff is going on here. Okay. Um, and this is just a theory that I have, that people tend to get married during their Libra or Taurus years. So where a planet is in Libra or Taurus, or Venus is involved. I'm still collecting data on that, but I've seen quite a bit, and I think it's safe to say that yeah, that might be something there. There might be something. So Venus is usually involved when I see this in a perfection. This next chart, I'm just looking at the transits for that time. Jupiter is transiting the seventh house. When this happens, it can show potential of marriage, but y'all, it can show potential of divorce. Now, clearly, she wasn't getting divorced because she was just getting married. So we know that. But during this time, people tend to feel a lot of love from other people during this time. They get to feeling themselves. Okay? They can feel themselves because a lot of people may want them and may be drawn to them. So they can get married because you got suitors, you got people coming at you, you got people coming after you possibly. Especially if you have an active seventh house and her sun sign is in her seventh house. So when your sun sign is in your seventh house, that could really, really mean that your identity, the core essence of you, is tied to relationships. So relationships will be a big part or theme of her life. Okay. When the Jupiter is transiting here, you definitely feel like you got options. But I caution people, if you are married, do not, do not be like, oh, I can leave you. I got options out here. I can do this. I can do that. I will suggest that you kind of wait. You wait this out, because right now you may have this grandiose, mentality or feeling, and that's not going to last, especially if Saturn is transiting behind that. You will have some tough lessons to learn, and there will be a lot of regret and sadness. But I digress, because that's not what happening. That's not what's happening in Cardi B's chart. But she has Jupiter transiting the seventh house. So if she was in front of me before that time, relationships definitely coming into focus. There's some positivity around that, like who's in your life, what's going on. But transits don't tell the full picture, so I have to look at other things. I always look at eclipses for anything, but definitely for marriage. And there was an eclipse at 15 Aquarius, so it is squaring her Venus. That lets me know, again, there's something happening in the relationship realm. Ma'am, what are you about to do? What is happening? What are you thinking about? The marriage, the marriage progression. So looking at her progressed chart. I'm not going to get into a whole lot here. Her progressed Venus here is trine her natal moon. This is important because Venus is the ruler of her seventh house. So her progressed seventh house planet is making an aspect to a planet that's in her first house. In her first house and aspecting a planet in the seventh house. Okay, so again, this is like, oh, okay, yeah, this is about to be something. Okay. Marriage chart. I don't have the time for the marriage chart, but or I don't have the time they were married. So, but there's some valuable information here to kind of give some idea about their relationship. Before I did a video on the first meeting chart, which I think is just is telling it's accurate. So y'all, when y'all first meet somebody, I know it's hard. I would really try to remember the time you met them, not around the time. Oh, I think it was around 5 o'clock. Like no, get the time. Think about the time when you're setting up that first date. Think about the time. Note down the time that you first had that interaction because I'm telling you, it's on point. But the marriage chart will then take precedence once you get married. That will then become this is the relationship, it's a dynamic, which is interesting because you notice or may have noticed when people say, well, we got married, things changed. This is what it is. I'm telling y'all, this is what it is. This is what changed. They didn't have a good astrologer to tell them, ooh, don't get this ain't a good date. Let's push it back. Let's give it a little bit more time. But I don't. Let me say this. I don't take astrology, although it's been accurate. It's not gospel for me. It's not like I'll talk about that at the end. But what we see here is Venus here is not strong at all. And Venus is the love planet. It is a love planet. It is not strong. It is fallen. It's in her fallen sign. Right there, I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like, a fallen sign is probably toxic. It's not good. It just doesn't, I'm not going to say toxic. It just doesn't operate at its strength. It's just not operating in its fullness, right? So that that was a good clue. Like, ooh, this is a struggle. If I knew the time they were married, then I would know their first and seventh house ruling planets and see how they connected and how they're aspected in the chart. So those would be extremely important, but I don't have that. But this does give a lot of good. That right there is important. Now, when you're doing a marriage chart or any type of election chart, it's important to know that nothing is going to be perfect. So there's some things you may be able to get down, but other things it just is not possible. But that Venus, okay, that's I don't know. But then I see Mercury and Mars are conjunct. That lets me know that there could be constant arguing in a relationship. There could be constant arguing. This Mars opposite Neptune, and you only look at applying aspects when you're looking at these charts. That right there lets me know there could be some boundary issues, some issues around infidelity. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I will be concerned about that one. A little bit. I will be concerned about that one. Um, Now this is not absolute. So this isn't like, okay, every Mars Neptune aspect it means that. But we know that that means that most likely in this situation because we know there have been infidelity. So we do know kind of that situation. The moon is extremely important in an election chart or a marriage chart or whatever. So you definitely want to track the moon. The final outcome or the final aspect of the moon is the final outcome of that particular situation. The moon is in Libra, so it will make a lot of aspects because it is earlier in Libra. So initially we have the first aspect to square Pluto. I think we've seen that kind of play out. Like she left him right at one time, and because he cheated, and that was pretty intense. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we don't even know that has occurred in this relationship or in their household. But that Plutonian theme has come up again. Here we go. Then it trines Saturn and then conjuncts Jupiter. So there's some stability, some good times, some fun times. And I think we've seen that over the years that they had some times where it's like, okay, they buying houses, they being playful, they look happy. There is maybe a period of stability, they're having kids. You see all of that. But this final aspect, the moon will eventually oppose Uranus. And that is a lot of unstableness or instability in the chart, or in the connection. There's constant up and down, some separations. You're just kind of like this, off and on again energy. So that theme is very heavy in this connection. And then that could even mean just a complete split. We'll have to see. We don't know. But that just kind of gives you an idea of how you look at those type of charts and how um, things can play out as this chart. If you progress the marriage chart, I should have did that, y'all. I might have to do that on my own and come back to you all. But if I take this chart and then progress it to see kind of how um, the planets will aspect, like how long does it take for the planets to aspect there. I mean, just looking at this, just eyeballing it, they got married, was that about 7 years, 6, 7 years ago, maybe. We know that the sun would have changed signs because that's at 28 degrees. So we know that was going to shift and change signs um, about a year and a half, 2 years in. Venus, depending on how quickly she's moving, is close to conjunct Mars, right? So anyway, there's a lot of things you can do. It would be very helpful if I knew the time of their marriage, and then I can progress it from there. We will have to see what happens. I will have to say or assume that if they work it out, there will be some ups and downs. There will be just some hurdles that they really have to work through. They really have to work on their own issues individually, though. I would never tell someone they can't be with someone or it won't work, because I believe if two people really want to make it work and they incorporate their own faith and beliefs into it, anything can work. I believe anything is possible. But hopefully, at this time, as Cardi is learning, navigating and learning these lessons, that she is really finding a way to, I'm sure she loves herself. I'm not even going to say, because Cardi is, but we can have a lot of confidence, but we can still not love ourselves, and those are two very different things. So hopefully she really understands like what she deserves and think about what she's getting. If the person or people she has around her has the capacity to give her that, just, this is about deservedness right now. Like, believing like I deserve the best. I deserve to be treated like a queen. I deserve somebody to love me wholeheartedly, to be faithful to me, all of these different things, but also to treat yourself like that. So she is definitely going to, I think, come out a better person, especially with seeing that progressed sun coming to Venus. I believe there is light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just working through and navigating all of this and having those emotions and going through, just going through it. It is definitely a journey, but I think she's going to glow after this. Now, what she decides to do with her marriage, that will be up to her, but I do believe that she'll come out different regardless. She'll come out stronger regardless. So hopefully she does the work and she really sits down, takes her time, that she makes the best decision for her. I think it'll be all good. So I thank you all for listening. Love and light, happy holidays. And I'm not sure if I'll come back with another video next week. We'll have to see what else comes out um, in the media, social media. But until then, take care. And if we do everything with love, it'll be okay.